Alright, hello everybody. This is Mr. Marr. Right now I'm going to walk through the stepper sheet for the Audiosauna beat making project. This is assuming you've already finished making your samples in Twisted Wave. You're going to go to your Google Drive, which I'm doing right now. I created a folder for my samples and I'm downloading the folder that has all of my samples. First, the file has to zip, which is it compresses the file so it's smaller. You have to unzip the file to get to it. Now you can hear my 3 samples. Great. So next we're going to be going to audiosauna.com/studio. I'm going to close the ad in the corner. If you can't see that, you might need to zoom out a few clicks. If it asks to run Adobe Flash, you do say yes and allow it permission. Okay, so this is the Audiosauna Studio. We're going to go File, New Song, and say yes. Then we're going to go up to Track, and we're going to create a new sampler. So a sampler just plays individual one-shot samples, just like the ones that we recorded using Twisted Wave. So to clear this kit, I'm going to go File, Clear Kit. Now the sampler is open for any samples that we want to add. So I'm going to go File, Add Samples. I'm going to scroll down. That's my desktop. So I'm going to head over to my download folder. It's going to work a little bit different on the Chromebook, but you can find it. And I'm going to find my samples in the sample folder, put them in. Good. So you can see that my samples work. If I click them on the pads here, you can also see the notes on the left light up when I press those buttons. So that shows that our samples are loaded into C4, the next note up, which is C sharp, and D4. So I'm going to close that. Right now we are in the 3 horizontal line piano roll view. That's what you get when you click back and forth on those 3 vertical lines. It goes between piano roll and arrange view. So you can see I just moved the green loop mark. It is green, so that means that loop mode is on. And I just double checked to make sure that snap to grid is on, and it's set to 16th notes. You do need to make sure that that works, or things are going to come in kind of out of time. So I'm going to click the pencil tool here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so I can see the grids just a little bit better. And now I can add notes in different spots. So I'm going to create kind of a random pattern here. So my tutorial suggests that you make a 1-bar pattern. I'm going to make a 2-bar pattern, and then I'm just going to see which bar I like better. So just kind of clicking in some random notes to see how it comes out. And I'm going to press play. Okay. So I'm going to press that erase marker. I'm going to start just erasing some notes and see if I can change this up a little bit. So that's actually not a note I can use. I'm going to just take that out. So what you can also do is just click and drag with the erase tool, and that will erase a whole selection, which is really convenient, so you don't have to just click on each individual note and erase. So I'm going to build this up to a nice 1-bar pattern. I'm going to highlight it using the selection tool. And then I'm going to copy and paste. So Control-C for copy, Control-V for paste. All right, so it looks like my beat didn't quite line up the way it's supposed to. So I'm gonna try to paste that again. And what it seems like is maybe I didn't click right on number 2, right on that bar line. So I'm gonna try this one more time, see if I can just get right exactly. There we go. Yeah, so that worked a lot better. And now I have a 2-bar pattern that repeats. And now what I need to do is stretch this out so it's an 8-bar pattern. So the way it's set up right now, it's I'm able to just copy paste just right at one after another, and everything's still going to stay in time. I stretch the green loop bar out to hit 9. So that's how you know it's an 8-bar pattern, because it goes from 1, stops at 9, so it goes through 8. You can see that all my beats are still lining up with the grids. Everything is pasting correctly. And now I've got my full 8-bar pattern. So right now I tried to press play, but I was outside the loop. So it's not going to start where I need it to. I'm going to press that rewind button. Still not working. So what you can do to get back to the beginning is just click the beginning right here. So now the play bar is back at the beginning. Now it's going to play, and when it hits the end of the green, it's going to loop back. Great. So I think this might sound a little better, just a little slower. I'm going to take this down, 94, 92. Yeah, okay. All right, that sounds good. So I'm going to keep it about 92 BPM. Seems to fit my pattern just a little better. So I'm going to make a new sampler. This is going to add some drum sounds. Get a little bit of a beat going. Works the same as our samples that we set up before. So I'm just trying to figure out which. I want to keep it simple. I'm just going to do bass, snare, and hi-hat. So I'm checking to see which notes are lighting up when I press the buttons. So I'm going to use C, D, and C. So it's bass, snare drum, and hi-hat. Again, I keep accidentally trying to exit. So don't worry about that. All right, so pencil tool. I'm going to click in a little bass drum pattern, add a couple snare beats. Trying to make sure things line up with the grid. It's a little bit hard to see, but you can kind of approximate. So right now these are set up in 16th note beats. So that's 1 E and a, 2 E and a. You guys know about that. A really common place to put your snare drum is on 2 and on 4. So that's, you can imagine after 8 16th grids, you're going to get to 2, another 8, you get to 4. Add some hi-hats up at the top there too. Took out one note just to make sure that my pattern works, and I'm going to paste this out until it's 8 bars. So this one I have to reset a little bit. Each time I need to make sure I'm clicking directly under the number, right? There's like a slightly more clear line usually. I'm just double checking to make sure it's going to hit right on the beat. And this seems to be pasting correctly. Until I have a full 8-bar drum pattern. Last bar. There we go. All right, so next I'm going to need to add some... Oh, let's take a listen. Cool. All right, so we're going to go and we're going to make an FM synth. You could use the analog synth if you want, but I really like those FM sounds. They sound pretty cool. There's some different sounds. There's basses, leads, keys, vibraphones. There's a whole bunch of sounds. And this is one spot where you can get pretty creative. Once you have your beat set and your samples in, you know, sky's the limit. You can add in anything that sounds good to you, and it's going to work because you have that foundation of the beat. So I think I'm going to go with this electric piano here. I'm just going to click in some notes. I'm going to follow a scale pattern. But mostly you just want to make sure that you're not all over the place. Try to make sure that you use a couple notes more than once. And if you don't like how it sounds, you can always change it. So, you know, you hear a note, it doesn't really work, you know, move it around until it does. I'm adding some layers, so some low notes, some high notes. I make sure there's a little bit of space. And then we've got our pattern here. So I'm going to do the same thing that I just did before, copy paste it out until it's a full 8-bar pattern. There we go. So I'm going to head back to a range view so I can actually see the whole thing. So you can see my pattern actually isn't going all the way out to the end of my pattern. So I'm just going to click on one of these and stretch it out until it reaches the full length of that green bar. So the notes have been in those little track modules, but I just needed to stretch it out so it would play correctly. There you go. So it's you know, not too complicated, pretty straightforward here. Simple beat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it as a .song file. I'm just going to save it in my sample folder, and then I'm also going to export the song, export song as audio file. So that turns it into a wave or an MP3 that you can just upload to your Google Drive and turn in.